anyone, a man of 6 feet also. I'm not even 4'10", but I feel confident enough. That is one thing, so please take that. And financial independence, teaching a skill is an excellent point, but I would like to add on to that, or request maybe to Mr. S. Shankar and the other delegates, that for someone like me who stopped working after 15 years full-time because my children were born, we need something so that we can go back to work easily. It's very difficult. Because aajkal when I was working, the world was like this. Now the world is like this. It's all AI and all computers. I really have to struggle. So maybe something like that, if you could do that. And the other thing, mothers, since we are talking about women empowerment, I have 2 sons. Mothers need to train their sons so that they respect their women and mothers and their grandmothers and the female. So please, that is one thing. And as a politician, this is directly addressed to Mr. Jaishankar. I don't know whether how much will he be able to help on that account. See, politicians have the power to change the country or the state or the village or their panchayat. If women in this small way, वो अपने सोसाइटी को ही चेंज करने के लिए किसी को आप उनको थोड़ा पावर दे दे, क्योंकि मैं कुछ भी करना चाहती हूँ, मुझे जिला पंचायत या वो काउंसलर या वो लोकल पॉलिटिशियन के पास जाना पड़ता है. उसमें बहुत दिक्कत होती है, हर चीज में चप्पल घिसना पड़ता है और आपको हर चीज में वेरी इनडायरेक्टली यू आर आस्क्ड So please, if you could do something where women, maybe 10 लोगों के बीच में ही मैं अगर difference बना सकूं, I would be more than happy. Like during COVID, we went for the lunch duty for the Dihadi Mazdoor. That was so fulfilling.
Thank you, ma'am, for the question.
Yeah. Yes. Like I said, I have lots to say.
Yes,
I guess I'll stop here.
As you told, we have challenges, but what I want to say, ma'am, if you have self-belief in you,
yes,
anything can be conquered.
Yes. I go ahead and do that.
And I would like now to give to our Honorable Minister, and yes, your concluding remarks for this session, sir.
Thank you very much. And I must say to all of you, divas sitting on either side, that for me, actually, it's been really a fascinating discussion to hear your experiences and your thoughts. Now, while I was sitting here listening to you, it struck me that in each one of the countries you come from, I've actually had the direct experience of working with or knowing somebody who would be a great woman role model. In 4 of your countries, Jamaica, Indonesia, Slovenia, Norway, I've had the privilege of working with women foreign ministers as my counterpart. Your current minister is one of my closest friends. Your previous minister, Retno Marsudi, like Kamina Johnson-Smith, these were among my closest colleagues. So I've had a chance in a way to work with them to kind of respect the contributions that they've made. In 2 countries, Ethiopia and Tanzania, I've actually called on the previous president in Ethiopia and the current president in Tanzania. And in Qatar, of course, we know the social and philanthropic leadership of Her Highness's Foundation. So in each one of your countries, there are actually very powerful role models, and I think, in a way, best practices are something which clearly have a relevance in that field. Now, I do believe that women make great diplomats, very good leaders, and we will have the privilege later in the afternoon of listening to a leader role model from India, which is our own very president, who is from the great state of Odisha. Now, when it comes to diplomats, it's interesting. I was looking at the Indian Foreign Service, and I found that actually there's been a very significant uptick in the number of women who've joined the Foreign Service. And when I look at the last 10 years, since 2014, women are actually 36.3% of the total diplomats, the Indian Foreign Service officers who've joined. I am confident those numbers would be higher. Now, having said that, I think many of the, the points you made, the confidence, the inner strength, the responsibility, the mental, the fortitude, the multitasking, and most of all, the ability to shape family thinking. So I think one of the suggestions which we heard from the floor, why it is important to teach your sons also to respect women. This is, by the way, an advice given publicly by Prime Minister Modi from the ramparts of the Red Fort. He once said, how often do you ask your sons where they were late in the evening? So I think these are really societal debates, changes we are going through. The panel debated, what recommendations would you give? I think they are before us. I mean, clearly today, again, I look at our own last decade. Among the changes, I spoke about the changes in terms of the ground changes. But look in terms of the policy and the impact changes. Today we have women officers in 12 arms and services of the Indian military. That is a big change. I mean, you are the daughter of a service officer, so you would appreciate what it means. Or you look at political leadership. You know, the question was raised that I have to go to a Zilla Panchayat, I have to go to a legislative assembly, I have to go to parliaments. Now, for us, the passing of the Nari Shakti Adhinayam, where 33% reservation is guaranteed, you know, this will bring about a change. Or if one looks today at entrepreneurship, that when we say, you know, we talk of Lakpati Didi, we talk of Mudra, we talk of Swanidhi loan programs, unsecured programs to allow women entrepreneurship, the number of women who actually availed of loans under Stand Up India, I think, exceeds 70%. So how do we encourage them to get into public life? How do we encourage greater entrepreneurship? But most of all, sitting next to you, how do they actually bring their talents to bear on technology? Creation of technology, but also deployment of technology. So, you know, it's interesting. We have a program called Drone Didi. Drone Didi is to teach young women how to operate drones so that in the villages, they are actually able to use drones to sort of contribute to agricultural performance. So my concluding remarks, even though I'm sitting next to you, is Nari Shakti is not rocket science. Nari Shakti should be an attitude, it should be a belief, it should be internalized, but I'm sure a rocket scientist can actually inspire us most of all in Nari Shakti.
Thank you so much, sir. You are the huge inspiration for all of us. Let me say that. And yes, with the final words, what I would like to say, Indian Women Diaspora representing a dynamic blend of tradition and modernity, making invaluable contributions to the global stage while staying deeply rooted in their heritage. So all of your achievements, you know, not only enhance India's global image, but also inspires millions of women worldwide to dream big and break barriers. Thank you so much.
Thank you to Honorable Minister, sir, for chairing the session so well, and thank you to our befitting moderator. Thank you, our esteemed panelists. I'll take pride once again reminding all of you that it was our Honorable Prime Minister's vision, dream, which Odisha government has successfully implemented through the revolutionary Subhadra Yojana by strengthening the grassroots domain. And we have one of the key role players. Please give a round of applause to our Deputy CM Madam Prabhati Parida, and true advocate of women empowerment, our Deputy CM Shri Kanak Vardhan Singh sir. And also we have our Health Minister, Chief Secretary, Principal Secretary, all the amazing administrative officer. We are proud of you. And thank you so much, sir, for this amazing session. I would definitely quote one line: the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. Ladies and gentlemen, we have witnessed fantastic session, and thank you audience for full house present and support throughout the session. For the very first session, I didn't have to remind all of you for a round of applause or anything. It was totally contagious energy. Once again, thanking all of you. Please come forward and let's pose a group photograph. Thank you so much. And please stay tuned. We will witness another power-packed session shortly, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm so well spoken. Was born and brought up in Mumbai, but has been living in Bhutan for the last 10 years. Bhutan is her adopted country. She works very closely with the government of Bhutan, and she has been promoting the close friendship between India and Bhutan to make it even stronger. And in recognition of her invaluable service, His Majesty, the King of Bhutan, has decorated her with the Order of Merit of Bhutan. So, Charmi, what we heard about Mauritius, that culture is truly the connect between India and Mauritius. Does it hold good for Bhutan? Because Bhutan does not traditionally have an Indian diaspora like Mauritius does. So would you say that Buddhism, food, or Indian movies are that cultural connect?
A very good morning to everyone. Namaste. Kemcho. And Kuzuzampola. Hello in Dzongkha, in the Bhutanese language. So, first of all, I'm absolutely honored to be here amongst such distinguished guests and to represent Bhutan and India and the friendship. Thank you so much for asking this wonderful question. I'll just say a little bit about myself before I go into this. I went as a solo traveler to Bhutan a decade ago. And it was call of destiny that Bhutan became my home. Bhutan adopted me, and I adopted Bhutan. And one of the most fantastic things that happened to me is, I was born and brought up in Bombay, and when you're born and brought up in a city like Bombay, you have the exposure of the world. You are a bit of everything, but something what is missing is a strong sense of roots, is what I feel. When I went to Bhutan, Bhutan has a very strong, every Bhutanese has a very strong sense of roots, identity, and culture. Right from the king to commoners, everyone will wear the go and kira every single day of their life. And they do it with a lot of pride. And I started questioning that who am I and what's my identity? And my identity and my roots goes back to my native place, Kutch, Gujarat, which I was not really connected to because I've hardly been there. But the more I became Bhutanese, the more I became Indian. And the more I became Indian, the more I became Bhutanese. And it was truly like, I would say, a romantic love affair between the two cultures and the roots. And so I realized that everything about Bhutan is so connected to India. And coming to Buddhism, Guru Rinpoche, the second Buddha, took Buddhism to Bhutan in 8th century. So what we share between the two countries is this beautiful Vajrayana Buddhism, the wisdom. And now Bhutan has become a seat of this, the keeper of this knowledge, of this wisdom. More than 5,000 people from Bhutan travel every year to India, to Bodh Gaya and to other places. And so many Bhutanese study in India. Almost every Bhutanese has studied at some point in India. They speak fluent Hindi. Many write. They enjoy the food. They enjoy the Bollywood films. They've grown up on Bollywood films. They speak the language perfectly well. And yes, we are geographically connected. We share the border. But I must say something here, that there are many countries in the world that share borders, but are not friends. We have great examples of that. And then there are countries that are friends. But what makes India-Bhutan special is it is a nurtured relationship. It is a nurtured friendship from years. from the royal family of Bhutan, from their majesties to the Honorable Prime Minister to the leadership in India, everyone is working every single day in nurturing this relationship. Again, growing up in the west of India, in Bombay, I didn't know much about India and Bhutan. I just decided in 3 days to go to Bhutan in search of spirituality. And then I got to know that there is this absolutely strong bond between the two countries. Everyone is doing all it takes to strengthen these ties. But in most parts, we don't know about it. But if you go to Bhutan and you go to any Bhutanese, they know about India. There's nothing that one needs to teach the Bhutanese about India. They naturally know about it. When it comes to festivals, or when it comes to even everything in terms of news and media that's happening in India. So that is the kind of relationship and the bond that we share, which is like no other, absolutely like no other. But if you ask in India, and especially if we go to other states, and in fact, some people still ask me that, how are you doing in Burma? They forget that I'm in Bhutan. People are so confused about the country. So we go to other parts and other states of India. There are many who don't know. How many of you have been to Bhutan? Quite a few, and yet very few. So I think as much as Bhutanese know about India, even Indians need to know about Bhutan and why it is important. It is important for each person to do it because there are a number of things that we share, and it's not just religion, it's not just Buddhism, but it is a lot more than that. And I think my time is up, but I'm sure there's a lot more to share, and when we move on to the next question, I will share further. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shammi. That was charming. Now, we will open up after the next panelist a round of comments or questions from the audience, because the next panelist is equally fascinating. Before we move on, I don't know if you recognize the two Buddhist sites which were on the screen. One of them is, I think, called the Tiger's Nest in Bhutan, and the other was, I think, Bodh Gaya. Yeah? So, there is the Buddhist connect in an image. Now, the next panelist is fascinating. Mr. Shankar Kandasamy from Malaysia. Why do I say he's fascinating? He is a third-generation Indian, born and brought up in Malaysia, and today he teaches Bharatanatyam dance to Indians. Shankar teaches Bharatanatyam at the Temple of Fine Arts in Malaysia. He is also a lecturer at the National Arts Academy. He has choreographed over 100 Bharatanatyam arangetrams, composed many dance recitals in Malaysia and abroad. And like I told you, he is very much in demand in India. I think even last week he was at the Nita Ambani organization teaching dance to Indians. So, yeah, that deserves a round of applause, really. And when I asked him, what brought you so close to India, to the point where you're learning Bharatanatyam? I mean, Shankar has worked elsewhere, he's a professional, but he gave it all up for dance. He told me his parents were very connected to India. They came, I think his ancestors came as civil servants to Malaysia from India. So what I want to ask you, Shankar, is what is this reverse osmosis happening culturally? You who have been away from Mother India for generations are now the poster boy for Indian culture and Indian dance. How did this happen?
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om and Namaskaram to everybody. My greetings to the Honorable Ministers and Nandini ji. Firstly, I must say that coming to India this time, truly we are being smothered by our mother India, We are coming back to our mother's house. And in this house, she's smothering us with such lovely hospitality. I must thank the Indian Cultural Center in Malaysia for giving me this chance. And we are all tied by an invisible umbilical cord. We are still sustained by this Bharat. Bharat has not stopped to sustain us. She's continuing to sustain us. She was ruled by many foreign rulers. They stole from her, they took from her, but she gave very freely because in her view, this world is Bharat. It is not a territorial place. It's not a country marked by borders. That is all politics. When we talk about Sanskriti, then whoever treads the path of Sat, whoever wants to go towards truth, he is a true Bharatiya Putra, Bharata Putra. So we all are Bharata Putras. And there is no Pravasi because there is nowhere we can go which is not her. I mean, the Pravasi exists in a political sense, but in a cultural and spiritual sense, we are still very much here in India. We are all in her lap, and we are sustained by her. Having said that, my grandparents had been migrated from British East India Company. It was the northern part of Sri Lanka. The Tamilians from there were taken there. And in the 1970s, we were very lucky to get a holy Swamiji come from Rishikesh, who taught us a little bit of mantra, a little bit of yoga, in a very liberal way to enjoy the Sanskriti in a deep sense. And then we got passionate about our dance and music, which he infused. His name was Swami Shantanand Saraswati. He came from Rishikesh, and he set up the Temple of Fine Arts. Today we have 1,000 students of dance and music, both North Indian Shastriya Sangeet, Hindustani, Odissi, Kathak, and South Indian Carnatic music, Bharatanatyam, Kuchipudi, and so on. And we are serving the Malaysian society, not only the Indians, but the local Malays and Chinese who have a different religion and background. They love Indian culture. I teach at the National Arts Academy to Malay students of Muslim origin. I mean, their forefathers were Indian because all of Southeast Asia was the greater India. Jambudvipe, Bharata Kante, Bharata Varshe. So in that greater India of Indonesia, Southeast Asia, we are very much, our languages in Malay and Indonesian breathe a lot of Sanskrit words. So the local people are very, very much connected, though the religion may be different. And I have also conducted Arangetrams for the Malay Muslim students. Almost 12 of them have graduated, and the government of Malaysia has conferred upon me the Anugraha Adi Guru. In the last month I received from the Malaysian government. They're very proud. These are the Malay and Chinese students you see on the screen. They are an extension of our Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. My great pride would be to bring them back to India to show what professional level of dancing they carry. So this is the work we do, and I totally believe that the sadhana, if it is a regular daily sadhana, then we are connected to the Sanskriti. That sadhana, today the Prime Minister mentioned, it is tradition on the one side and technology on the one side. The tradition, and this reminds me of the last verse of the Gita, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishno, Yatra Partho Dhanurdharaha, Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhutir Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. That Krishna is the Samskriti because he takes us back through the Samskriti. And that Arjuna with the Dhanur is the technology that we have. It is the Purushartha, the hard work that we can put in. And with this too, we, as India stands for service, we are serving the world through medicine, through technology. The whole world is being served today. Sorry, I just finished in 2 lines. And the stronger we are in connecting with that Samskriti, that Vijayam, that Shri is on our part. So this whole Pravasi Divas, to throw into context of why we as cultural practitioners are very vital, because this soft power is the silent power that empowers the hard power. With that, I thank you.
Thank you, Shankar. I think you've inspired all of us, also inspired some questions and comments, hopefully. So who in the audience wants to say something? I see a few hands up there. I request someone to take the mic, please. Please stick to 1 minute, otherwise you'll hear the buzzer.
शंकर
सबसे पहले मैं भारत माता को धन्यवाद करता हूँ। भारत माता की जय हो, भारत माता की जय हो, भारत माता की जय हो। मोदी देश हमारा स्वर्ग, हमारा मोदी देश की जय हो। मैं सबसे पहले मैं जो हमारे जो टाइज है, मतलब कल्चरल पॉलिटिकल टाइज, ये हमेशा हमेशा जीवित रहेगा, अमर रहेगा। और मैं भगवान से प्रार्थना करता हूं कि भारत ऐसा देश है जो दुनिया को सिखा दिया कि नम्रता क्या होती है, सभ्यता क्या होती है। और माता पिता का इज्जत क्या होता है। प्रश्न मेरा है कि देखो, हम लोग हर 2 साल आते हैं यहाँ पर भारत दिवस के लिए, तो मैं ओडिशा गवर्नमेंट से दरख्वास्त करूंगा, रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि ज्यादा लोग हमारे ओल्ड सिटीजन आते हैं तो कम से कम 1 टिकट, 10 टिकट मतलब फ्री कर देना। सिर्फ यही मांगते हैं आप लोगों से। और जहां पर हमारी सुविधाएं हैं, मतलब रहने के होटल्स के लिए हम तो करेंगे, लेकिन हमारे टिकट का ट्रैवल फ्री करना, ये मेरा क्वेश्चन है। क्या हमें ये सहयोग मिलेगा, ये मेरा प्रश्न है।
धन्यवाद, धन्यवाद। Is there anybody else? I think the Honorable Minister has identified a lady. Can we have the mic there,
Minister Kanangani. Minister Kamangani.
Hari Om Tat Sat. Thank you all on this auspicious day of Vaikunth Ekadashi to listen and learn from you all about the intercultural transmission, as we say, soft power. Has been one of India's strengths. My own ancestors used to sing in the court with the tansen. One of the issues we are seeing in the modern world is the rapid cultural appropriation and dilution of our traditions in every sector, be it spirituality and dance and music. And although we are very open and inclusive, Dharma is accessible to everyone. How do we restrict this, and how do we ensure that what we portray as our culture in foreign countries like England, the US, and Europe is connected to our roots, our Guru Parampara, and we understand that there is also a necessary element of reciprocity. We are sitting here in a very capitalistic structure, whilst there are acharyas and there are dancers in rural temples of India who are not able to feed themselves. How do we give back to the ground? Thank you so much for listening to me.
Thank you. We'll take one more comment and then I will sum up the comments I heard.
Yes.
You can give it.
Yes.
Please wait your turn. 1 minute, please.
Yes, Madam, please give me 1 more minute because I have something else. I myself, Vishnu Vedpakhalbandan, a former Minister of Labour Government from Mauritius. Madam, first of all, Honourable Ministers on the rise, all honorary dignitaries. First of all, Mr. Singla, I have to thank you for whatever you did in Mauritius during your tenure of office. I think you need a clapping. Mauritius was known for a bilingual country. Other to that were Hindi. And when you came to Mauritius as Ambassador, High Commissioner of India, you spoke so fluently in French. You touched the heart of all the Mauritian people in Mauritius, and everybody was happy, and everybody could understand your message. Mr. Singla, now that you have got a very good post as the Director General by CCR, I will take you back to 1970s when I was...
Take the question.
When I was just student, the ICCO helped a lot of Mauritian students at that time. And I have to thank Dr. C. Sagaram Gulam, who connected with Prime Minister of that time, Indira Gandhi, to let Mauritian students to come to universities of India to get studies. Mr. Singla, one thing I just, 1 minute please. I propose that the PBD must have an anthem of its own, so that this anthem is played everywhere when this PBD convention is held. So I propose to the EAM, Minister Jay Shankar, and I hope this will be taken care of. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The questions I heard was, one, how do we make sure that Indian culture that is represented abroad is true to India's real culture? Would any panelist like to respond to that question?
I think Shankar is the right man to respond on this.
Shankar.
Yeah.
I think today with the social media and the availability of so much of resources through this media, we're able to match and see how authentic we are with the mother country. That matching is very available. It's something that we can see to authenticate whether we are diluted or whether we are true to the form. I think this is one way that we are constantly in exposure to this, and so that keeps us in check and balance.
That's good. Thank you.
Now we go to the next panelist, Vanessa Dhiru. It's very hard to describe her. She has 5 leadership roles currently. She is also from Gujarat originally, like Charlie, but born and brought up in New Zealand. She is currently the Commissioner of the New Zealand National Commission of UNESCO, and she was the first person of color and the first Indian to head the New Zealand National Commission of Women. And that deserves a round of applause. And because of all the community service that she's been doing in New Zealand for the last 2 decades, the government of New Zealand has awarded the member of the New Zealand Order of Merit, NNZM, to Vanessa. Vanessa, can you share with us what your learnings are as the first Indian to head the New Zealand National Commission for Women?
Namaskar, namaste, kem cho, majamache. To all of the distinguished guests, ministers, Nandini ji, my fellow panelists, I'd like to say in Te Reo Māori, the indigenous language of New Zealand, ina mana ai na reo, ina rau rangatira mā, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. My connection to India has been the inspiration of my work for many, many years. I'm holding today the cotton that my grandfather spun in Gujarat. I came to India my first time in 1988. The second time I came was when I was 25 years old. So I had a very long time being assimilated in New Zealand. You can hear my accent, very Kiwi. And his stories, his photo is up here, his stories that he shared with me were his desperation to join the Salt Satrigal March at Dundee Beach. My Gam, my village, is 20 minutes from Dundee Beach, and he shared these stories of self-reliance, of preservation, and commitment to the people of India. His key learnings or teachings to me, there were threefold. One is, you should continue not to eat beef. Yes, Babuji, Ame koru, kaini. His second teaching was Tamas Somwar Kurjo. Please fast on Monday. Okay, Babuji, I'll do this. His third one was, whatever land you are living in, please serve the community, because that community will serve you back. And that is why when the opportunity came to become the president of the National Council of Women, the largest women's organisation in New Zealand, founded by Kate Shepherd, she was the woman that led the campaign that was enabled New Zealand to get women the first country in the world to get the vote. So I took her job as the first woman of colour, the first Indian woman, and also the youngest woman. And these three things were intersectionally challenging for me. But it was my Bapuji's teachings that made me realise these are the things that I must make sure that my leadership reflections enable me to do the work that is required in Aotearoa, New Zealand. The second thing I wanted to share very quickly is my learning in Aotearoa, New Zealand has also come from Indian community and diaspora, but also come from the indigenous people, the Maori people of New Zealand. They are very well connected with their spiritual nature and their rituals. And it is their rituals that I have learnt and I have reflected on and thought, what are the rituals that my motherland also do? And there are many similarities, and that is something that I'm really proud to be able to understand, learn and share with other Indian diaspora in New Zealand. Kia ora.
Thank you, Vanessa. Now, our next panelist needs no introduction. He is not just a celebrity, but also one of India's best ambassadors. And he's connecting India to the world through something very fundamental: food. Good morning, Ranveer Brar. I'm sure all of you have tried at least one of his YouTube recipes and you have liked them. But I hope you know that he is also a very well-known film actor today. I have watched Buckingham Murders and I liked what he did in the movie. He's not just a master chef, a chef par excellence, comme on dit en français. He's also a film actor, but he's also an entrepreneur. He has started a very successful Indian restaurant in the United Arab Emirates. And he's a very busy man. He's just flown in and reached here directly from the airport. What I want to ask you, Ranveer, is how does India better leverage its world-famous cuisine? How do we use the diversity, the richness, the flavor of Indian food to connect with the world? Not just the Indian diaspora, क्योंकि Indian diaspora हमेशा Indian restaurant में जाके खाना खाते हैं, लेकिन foreigners को हम कैसे Indian खाना के साथ जुड़े, बेहतर जुड़े? Can we hear your views, Ranveer?
Sure, thank you. Honorable Ministers, Nandini, and such an esteemed panel, thank you very much. Thank you for listening. I'll speak from my experience. I mean, we are currently running 11 restaurants, signed up a 12th one last week, so 12 restaurants outside of India. And the learning and the change that I lived in the United States for 12 years. And then I came back और 12 साल से इंडिया में हूँ और आता जाता रहता हूँ, तो एक जो difference है पिछले 24 साल का, the difference in the last 24 years is truly visible, not just on how Indians view India, but how the world views India. That graph over the last 25 years is for the world to see. And today when I opened restaurants earlier, I had to hyphenate. I had to say modern Indian or some Indian or some Indian. Today, there's no hyphenation needed. We can just be unapologetically Indian, and that is the difference. Restaurants don't need to hyphenate themselves to say that we serve a certain kind of Indian food. The world is looking at India, and that's reflecting in our cuisine. The best way, and I think Honorable Minister said it very rightfully, way our restaurants work and the way our business model works is Indians will come. But if Indians feel proud, they will bring their friends with them. Absolutely, Bharat Mata ki jai. So the fact what has worked for us is कि अगर आप unapologetically proud Indian हैं और वो sense of pride resonate करती है, वो India story resonate करती है जो आपके restaurant में आता है, तो वो अपने दोस्तों को लेके आएंगे. They'll bring their friends, and that is the whole idea of building a business purely based on believing in the India story, projecting the India story, and believing in that India story primarily. There's a lot of times when people say, oh, but why is the food not portioned small like the French food? I was like, that is the presentation of French food. Our presentation is generosity. This is our presentation. Absolutely. And I think it is just how we tell the India story. It is just how we project the India story. It is just changing the language. It is not bigger portions. It is generosity. That is our presentation. That small portion with a small garnish on top might be good, but when we call friends over, when we call people over, our presentation is generosity. And I think that pride is the actual soft power that brings more business. That pride is the actual soft power that can actually, see, business, for me, it is, again, money has always been secondary. What is the bigger purpose that I think Indian cuisine has been able to solve is that it has been able to seamlessly fit into culture over the years. पिछले 25 साल में खाने और संस्कृति को अलग-अलग देखने के बजाय दुनिया आज खाने को संस्कृति का हिस्सा seamlessly दे रही है, खासतौर पिछले 10 साल में. And I think the ability to put food and culture together and say this is India, that for me is what has worked and what has changed.
रणवीर ने जो अभी बात कही about the size of the portion of Indian food, मुझे लगता है कि वो हिंदुस्तान की साइज और हिंदुस्तानियों के दिल की साइज के कारण से बढ़ा है. अभी I was just watching an exhibition by Indian Archives. उसमें एक फोटो लगा हुआ था that people of Indian origin who has headed the nations. अभी मुझे लगता है कि इसको रणवीर को जरूर बताना चाहिए that the cuisine of Indian origin, like chicken tikka, is the national dish of the country like United Kingdom. So Hindustan जहां भी जाएंगे वहां जाकर के we will excel.
Absolutely. Very well said.
Okay. I think later. You want to? Urmila Chakrabarti from Italy wants to chip in. Urmila ji, we are happy to hear you.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here, and I'm not butting in, but I'm just trying to add to what Ranveer has just said. I'm calling him Ranveer because he's my son's age. We teach, what does a social and cultural mediator do? We tell stories of India. तुम्हारे ही रंग में रंगे रहे और तुम्हारी ही गीत सुनाते रहे. So we use Ranveer's blog. It's basically linked to food. Food is culture, but so is language. Language is the most important thing. We have taught Hindi language to thousands of students in Italy, And one of the things that we use is Ranveer's food blog, because we don't want them to talk Hindi like Maha Vishwavidyalay ke Mahadwar par tumhara intezar karenge. We want him to talk Hindi which everybody can understand. As Ranveer always says at the end, Ranveer ne bataya nahi, ye mat kehna.
So Ranveer, you are promoting Hindi too through food. I think that is amazing. That's the kind of story we want to hear.
So for my YouTube channel, which is about 10 million subscribers, 80% of my YouTube views come from outside of India.
Wow.
So that is the need to connect back to the roots, the language, just the ease that India and the comfort that Indian food brings. So, जो दिल में ठंड अपनी भाषा अपने खाने से ही पड़ती है, वो चाहे digitally पड़े या factually पड़े.
I think the challenge with India is we have too much to offer. When you talk of cuisine, सड़क सड़क से, गली गली से खाना बदलता है इंडिया में. It's so hard to represent the whole of Indian cuisine to the world, just like it's hard to represent Indian culture, Indian dance, music to the world, because it's so big, so vast. अब दिल की बात हो रही थी, तो हम अभी जाते हैं युगांडा, जहां पे हमारे मित्र परेश मेहता जी, जो गुजरात के हैं. Again, we have 3 people on this panel from Gujarat. He's an electrical engineer from Gujarat, but has been living in Uganda for almost 20 years, 19 years. And he's been doing a lot of selfless community work, helping children get surgeries. He's opened a primary school. He's opened a homeopathy center. He is the community coordinator for over 60 Indian community organizations. And he is also a trustee of the 100-year-old Sanatan Dharma Mandal temple in Uganda. And for all of this, the government of Uganda has awarded him the Diamond Jubilee Medal by the President of Uganda. Congratulations, Paresh ji. You are an inspiration, I'm told. Our ambassador told me that he is one of the youngest such inspirations that Uganda has known. Now, I want to ask him an interesting question. I don't know how many of you know, but Indians constitute less than 1% of the population of Uganda, and they contribute more than 65% of the tax revenue of Uganda.
भारतीय जहाँ जाते हैं वहाँ केवल अपना क्राफ्ट कल्चर एंड क्यूजीन नहीं ले जाते, वो अपनी एंटरप्रेन्योरियल स्किल्स से उस देश की अर्थतंत्र को भी मजबूत करते हैं. परेश इज द एग्जांपल ऑफ दैट, एंड इंडियंस ऑफ इंडिया युगांडा हैव प्रूव्ड दिस.
You know, Indians went to Uganda with nothing. In the 70s, as many of you know, they were expelled from Uganda. And today, they run and own some of the biggest MNCs in the world. In fact, the largest convention center in Africa is in Uganda, built by an Indian origin businessman, the Speak Convention Center, which you see here. But the beauty is, at the same time, the Indian diaspora in Uganda is very connected to its Indian roots. You see this 100-year-old heritage site, the Sanatan Dharma Mandal temple, of which Paresh ji is a trustee. I want to ask Paresh ji, how can we inspire Indians all over the world to strive for success the way the Ugandans have achieved in Uganda, and at the same time remain connected to their Indian culture, to their Indian roots?
Thank you, Madam Nandini ji. It's an absolute honor to be here. Honorable Minister Gajendra Singh Shekhawat ji, Honorable Minister from Mauritius, and all distinguished panelists, all the beautiful audience. There is no chair remaining in the hall. It shows that this dialogue is very interesting for all of us. the Odisha Pradesh Basiku Hridayaru धन्यवाद कृतज्ञता बहुत सुंदर बैसा एंड आतिथ्य पाया धन्यवाद जय जगन्नाथ Let's take a tour to the East Africa, the Uganda. Uganda is known as a pearl of Africa. पूरे अफ्रीका का वो मोती है और मोती को खोजा जहां तक मेरा मानना है वो हमारे forefathers ने because early in a colonial time there was a free migration and some of our forefathers went there to escape the financial difficulties from here. And also there was a need for a skilled labor, so they went to build the railway during the British Indian 1880s or 1890s. From that time, as the Director General of ICCR mentioned, that today's population of Indian community in Uganda is less than 0.1%, and we contribute the total tax revenue 65% of the country. Isn't it a pride moment for Indian diaspora globally? So we all know that the first humans migrated from Africa, whether 100,000 years ago or 200,000 years ago. We all heard about the Idi Amin, the exclusion where all the Indians and Asians left the Uganda in 1970-72 without a single penny. And today you have seen the biggest convention center is built by Indian origin, Dr. Surya Ruparelia, in Uganda. And he aims to be a global leader in MICE. At the same time, we maintain a strong bond with our rich heritage. You are seeing the 100 years old Sanatan Dharma Mandal. So, this also the statistics, we do import from India $1.5 billion for the last year, 2023. And this temple is a replica of the Somnath temple, the first Jyotirlinga. Is the only kind of temple outside of India in the world that is a Somnath temple. Our contribution, if I mention that there was a Goan inventor during that time who invented a gomesi, a local dress, and that is now our Uganda's traditional dress called gomesi. It's given the name by that Goan. So we believe that we are the Rishi Rishi's santan who sacrificed and given the bones to make the Vajra, which was the greatest weapon used by God, and we will contribute to thrive the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Paresh. Thank you. Our next panelist is very impressive, and all the Odias in the audience are going to be delighted because she was born and brought up in Oman, but is an exponent of Odissi dance. Welcome, Aishwarya Hegde, to our panel discussion. She is an exponent of Kelicharan Mahapatra Gharana in Oman. She heads the Deepam Arts Academy, and I'm amazed because she actually comes from my state, Karnataka, and she still speaks Kannada, even though she was born and brought up in Oman, and she teaches Odissi dance. So I want to ask her, how did this happen, Aishwarya?
Good afternoon to everybody. Honorable ministers, my fellow panelists, and this wonderful audience. It's truly, truly an honor for me to be here today. I would like to thank the Indian Embassy in Oman for enabling this and giving me such a prestigious opportunity. Growing up in Oman has been an experience that feels like an extended part of India. I often believe that Bangalore is my Janam Bhumi, Muscat is my Karam Bhumi, but Bhubaneswar is my Dharam Bhumi. I studied at one of the 22 Indian schools in Oman. To give you a picture of how big the diaspora of the Indian community is in Oman, I was lucky to meet my Odissi teacher in my school. And my Odissi journey began with multiple performances throughout my childhood for the Indian community, hosted and supported by them. But as I grew up, something stirred in me to mix things up. And I felt the need to connect with my work with the local community of Oman. And as things went on, I had the opportunity to meet many artists who I saw were doing wonderful things in their field, but we didn't find a common ground to connect with each other. The people of Oman are absolutely incredible. They love the arts and they're highly appreciative of culture and heritage. And this gave me an opportunity to meet some incredibly talented Omani artists. And what we created together with Arabic music and Odissi was not art, but was something that connected people at a level that transcended language and cultures. I always often saw videos of Indian dancers performing with backdrops of beautiful temples from India. The Khajuraho, the Konark temple, the Meenakshi temple. And I felt that it's such a beautiful way to connect the world to the root of the art form that you're displaying. But my situation and my circumstances were unique. I thought that I need to show the world the beauty of Oman to Arabic music, dressed in an Odissi costume, to authentic Odissi dancing. And that's why we put together a beautiful video which did us wonders and spoke a language that maybe otherwise would have been difficult to reach the local community.
ऐश्वर्या जी ने तो इंट्रोडक्शन कराते हुए नंदिनी जी कह रही थी that she was born in Oman and still she can speak Kannada. There is an exhibition which is placed here about India-Oman relationship. I just visited that exhibition, and when I was there, I was privileged to meet a family. The ancestors of that family migrated 400 years ago. And the boy, little kid, he is 16th generation Indian in Oman, but still he can speak the mother tongue Gujarati and Hindi. I was overwhelmed, amazed. This is what the power and strength of the root of Indian culture and Indian cultural prowess. So I must congratulate Aishwarya ji. Now you can take it forward.
So just to chime in on that, I am honored to be married into that family.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now we will take another 2 questions from the audience, but again, please have a pointed question and 1 minute only.
In the red coat.
The gentleman in the red coat.
Red and white.
Red and white jacket. Can someone pass the mic, please? 1 minute में please अपना comment या question प्रस्तुत करिएगा.
Jai Jagannath. On behalf of 4 crore Odias, I am here to extend my thanks for all of you to come here, be part of our family. Thank you all.
Thank you. Someone else?
No, I have a question for the Honorable Minister.
So you have left only 30 seconds with you.
30 seconds. Sir, whenever we visit any tourist spot in India, there is a difference. Being outside for 27 years, I am Indian, but my daughter is American. So we have a different pay structure to visit. Nowhere in the world we differentiate in that way. Please have some sincere thought. We should have one payment for all. Thank you.
Very good suggestion. It's noted, sir.
One more question or comment quickly.
सर मेरा एक सवाल है. अभी मैडम चक्रवर्ती ने शायद इटली से हैं, उन्होंने हिंदी को लेकर के जिस तरह से उपहासात्मक टिप्पणी की, उसका मुझे खेद है, उससे मुझे नाराजगी है. उनको इस तरह के अंतर्राष्ट्रीय मंच पर बैठ करके हमारी राजभाषा, राष्ट्रभाषा हिंदी को लेकर के मखौल नहीं उड़ाना चाहिए. ये मेरा उनसे
मुझे लगता है कि कुछ चीजों को हमको सहजता के साथ में लेना चाहिए. हिंदी भारत के भाल की बिंदी है. कोई उसका उपहास कम से कम भारत में पैदा हुआ व्यक्ति और भारत की जड़ें जिसके साथ जुड़ी हुई ऐसा नहीं करता है. मुझे लगता है कहीं आपके समझने में और वो जो कहना चाहती थी उसमें कुछ फर्क हुआ है. अब बैठिए. या नेक्स्ट.
Okay, can we have the microphone for the lady here? I think she's been raising her hand.
Yeah.
सबसे पहले प्रवासी भारतीयों को और हमारे ऑनर में बैठे हुए सभी पैनलिस्ट को मेरा प्यार भरा नमस्कार. मैं मॉरिशस से हूँ और आज ये मंच जो यहाँ जुड़ा है, जिसमें मैं सबसे पहले आभार और बहुत सी अपनी शुभकामनाएं के नंदिनी संगलाक जी को दूंगी, जिन्होंने 4 साल मॉरिशस में रहकर जो इतना बड़ा योगदान अपनी भारतीय संस्कृति को आगे बढ़ाने में दिया है, वो बहुत ही सराहनीय, जिसके लिए मैं सबसे बड़ी
सवाल पूछिएगा.
मैं सवाल ये पूछना चाहती हूँ कि हम चाहेंगे कि युवाओं को कैसे अपनी संस्कृति से, जो आज अपनी संस्कृति से पिछड़ चुके हैं या मैं कहूँगी कुछ भटक गए हैं, उनको कैसे अपनी धर्म, संस्कृति, भाषा से जोड़ा जा सकता है. एंड मीडिया इज द good, very powerful medium, so we can at least give them a chance to express them.
Yeah, actually this is a question that the panelists are going to talk about for 1 minute each.
Thank you for that. Only small poesy, मेरा देश महान, जिसकी ऊंची ऊंची शान.
बहुत धन्यवाद. अब हम जाते हैं अर्नब रॉय चुरोमनी, जो ओडिशा के हैं लेकिन यूक्रेन में हैं 36 years से, if I'm not mistaken. Since 1988, he's been living in Ukraine. He is a private entrepreneur, but he has founded the India Club in Ukraine. He's also founded the Indian Cricket Association in Ukraine. But what is very impactful is that he teaches yoga and meditation in the heartfulness way to Ukrainian school children. And he tells me how much it is helping the people of Ukraine cope with the anxiety of the ongoing war in Ukraine. So Arnab ji, can we hear you?
So Arnab lives in Kyiv, and he has, you know, the situation in Ukraine and especially in the Kyiv. So he has come all the way from Kyiv in this difficult situation. I think we must give a round of applause for him. Arnab, please.
मोर प्रिय भारतीय भाई भौणी माने, विभिन्न देशरू हजार हजार किलोमीटर दूर आसी प्रवासी भारतीय दिवस रे आपण मान जोग देउथिबारु मोर आंतरिक कृतज्ञता. I belong to Odisha. For last 36 years, I have been staying in Kiev, Ukraine, and this has been my wonderful privilege to learn yoga and especially meditation, not in India, but in Ukraine, which was born in India. So this is a great honor for me to share with you, to care the mankind with a great knowledge and practical possibility, which we all, everybody, can do for ourselves and can influence and we can deliver to others who do not know about that. And eventually, in this Janata Padiyat, in this place, in 2007, when Ramdev ji was here, during the technique of pranayama, I learned here from Odisha, which brought me back to the human life, how to lead a proper human life, not the materialistic one, to bring balance between the spiritual and materialistic life. You all know that for materialistic existence, we need to earn something. But if we add with our heart-based meditation, or we have to think everything through the heart so that we can reach everybody with all the human qualities like kindness, fellow feeling, service to the mankind. And with that goodwill, we can win the hearts of everybody. And if we serve the mankind, the God will be always with us to provide us the minimum necessity, the minimum requirement of our life. That is what I am trying to serve the God by serving the mankind in Ukraine. Even if in this difficult time, the critical, crucial years, I have never left that country with my family, where my wife is from Ukraine, with whom I am there for last 35 years. And my wife, Ukrainian wife, she brought me back to meditation when I was living that after 2 years of practice, some 15 years back, in the heartfulness meditation way. Because ego, that always disturbs us. If we do not follow the ego, the mind, which is always disturbing us, taking us to the wrong path, if we just concentrate and follow, focus on our heart, everything is in the right place. I have been working with many children during this difficult time in the bunkers, whenever there is a necessity, to teach how pranayama, the breathing exercise of yoga, can bring comfort, can bring humanity, and remove all anxiety, panic, all distress. And it has been wonderfully experienced by the children of Ukraine, by the teachers, and this has helped us to create a wonderful platform. And the government of India, the Prime Minister's office has been so much helpful to promote this, and I request all of us in this pious, this opportunity where we should not only work today or talk today and again after 2 years come back, let us form a working committee where the government of India and government of other countries, I have already in contact with Ukrainian government, and now we are going to form a committee where we all, from the audience, whoever is ready to join, please join through the portal of Indian government's Pravasi Bharatiya platform, where we can make these things happen from today itself, and let us take a place that we can serve the mankind by bringing peace, tranquility, fellow feeling, and humanity between ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a wonderful message. Thank you. Now we move to our last panelist and very distinguished panelist, Urmila Chakrabarti ji, who was born in India but has been living in Italy for the last 30 years. She's been a professor, and now she runs an entity called English Hour, which helps people integrate culturally and linguistically. More interestingly, she has been using Patachitra to introduce Indian culture to school children in Milan. Urmila ji, can we hear something about that?
Namaskar. Right at the beginning, I would like to thank the Indian government, my Consul General in Milan, and ICCR for giving me this opportunity to come here. दिल तेज धड़कता है जब विदेशों में मुझे बुलाते हैं, लेकिन दिल ऐसा धड़कता है कि कुछ सुनाई नहीं देता और कुछ समझ नहीं आता जब भारत में हमें बुलाते हैं. मुझे बहुत खेद है कि मैंने जो कहा वो शायद गलत फहमी हो गई. I have taught Hindi to thousands of students in Europe. I have brought thousands of students to India, and we have translated Indian authors into Italian language and presented them all over Europe. अगर ये हिंदी भाषा का अपमान है, तो ये अपमान मैं जिंदगी भर करूंगी. When I went to Italy, I went in the late 80s. It was a different India and it was a different world. In Italian, we say that it's always easy to talk to San Francisco, who is a saint, but it's always difficult to talk to the wolves. What does it mean? It means that when we talk among like-minded people, it's easy to communicate. But when you talk to people who don't know the subject, it's hard to communicate. There are people in Italy who love India, who know India, they're experts of India, art, culture, music, and literature. But we don't have to change the perspective of India amongst those who already know our country. We can enhance it, but we have to try to take it where they don't know it. In Italy, even today, people ask us, I'll translate it for you, I don't know if there are any Italians here. Our diaspora is very small, so we struggle to establish our Indian culture. People ask us, so what language do you speak, Urmila? It's Indian, right? That's the role of every Indian, to be a correct ambassador and say that we don't speak Indian. There's no such language as Indian. We've got myriad languages and we speak them. We are proud of each language that we speak. I'm in Odisha. As Aishwarya said, my Janam Bhumi is here. My Karam Bhumi is in Italy. I love both these countries and I take inspiration from Raiman Panikkar, the greatest thinker of these times, who has translated the Vedas into European languages. Padre Panikkar's research was the hidden Christ of Hinduism. And when people asked him, are you Eastern or Western? He said, I'm completely Eastern and I'm completely Western. I feel myself a global citizen with an Indian heart. So I try to take India to other people to get them to know it. Odisha is my Prerana Bhumi. It is where I got inspiration. I came from a 10-hour flight, and the first place that I went to was Raghurajpur. My Lyasa officer tried to tell me, Urmila, you need rest. I said, no, Raghurajpur is like a pilgrimage. So we take Patachitra all over Europe. We have done programs all over Europe. Through Patachitra, we introduce Indian culture and love for India to little children, because mindset change must start from children, and we take it from children to university, to organizations, and to the corporate world. Thank you, audience, and thank you, co-panelists.
Thank you, Urmila ji. We only have about 10 minutes left, so I'm going to ask each panelist, in 45 seconds, give me one suggestion. What can we do to connect younger generations better with Indian culture and with India? Shankar, can we start with you?
Hello? Can you hear me? Yeah. I think it always starts in the present. If you're talking about the future, if we practice our culture to the core as a sadhana, then automatically the younger generation would pick it up. But if we are not practitioners of what we preach, it's not going to work. Yata Raja Tata Praja. How the father of the family is, that is how the children will be. That is how the future generations will be. If we are very strong in that practice, then we are ambassadors of the future.
Thank you. So the responsibility lies with each one of us. Aishwarya.
I think to market a product, right, we need to first understand our audience. And here our audience are kids. Kids don't want to learn a philosophy which takes a lifetime to understand. Kids engage very deeply with stories, and the Indian arts are packed with great, engaging, beautiful stories. So introducing heritage and culture to children and dance through stories is a wonderful first step. Secondly, I believe that innovation and evolution are inevitable if we want to connect with the future generations. Having said that, we carry a strong responsibility of authenticity and heritage. We are the one nation that were able to launch a spacecraft on the south pole of the moon, but we might be the only nation who checked the muhurat before doing that. This duality is our strength, and we need to carry this message to our younger generation too.
Beautiful, well said, thank you. Arnab.
For connection and belongingness, the topic which you have, there are wonderful instruments which are ready with us, like meditation, the value education in the Heartfulness Education Trust, which has been experimentally verified. We can take it to different countries, like in Ukraine, we are already doing that. In that, the government of India, the ICCR, can be a wonderful, practical, boost for us, where we can join that and make the availability of those material for the common people, the children of Ukraine and other countries, where it will be practically experienced, and some tele-bridges can be made between those countries, which we have already practically done in Ukraine and Indian schools. That will be a wonderful kind of practical experience that the children will be completely experiencing and adopt that for a better life. Thank you.
Thank you. ICCR has duly noted your suggestion. Sharmi, can we hear from you?
So we have a strong presence of Nehru Wanchuk Cultural Center in Bhutan, and that promotes yoga, Indian music, dance, and a lot of Bhutanese kids are coming and learning these art forms. So as you already mentioned, that we don't have a very big Indian diaspora, and a lot of work we do is for the Bhutanese and the Bhutanese kids. For me personally, I work with a number of youth and Bhutanese people across Bhutan. And here I would like to say that in terms of promoting the Indianness would be something intangible for me. That is my integrity, loyalty, discipline that comes from my roots. And when I'm being there present in that moment and working with all the Bhutanese, I think what they are taking from there and the stories I'm sharing is of India, is of my roots. So it's tangible and intangible both in many ways.
Thank you. Thank you very much. His Excellency Mahendra Gundiaji from Mauritius.
Thank you. Nandini, you will notice that among our 300 delegates present here in Odisha, we do have many young people who are here now, and this will increase in the future. But as you know, we are being privileged for Mauritian citizens to benefit the OCI certificate for the Indian origin people for up to the 7th generation. And we are thankful to the government of India. Thank you. But I will humbly request that if the formalities could be simplified and that the time frame could be reduced, this also will be a great opportunity for our young Mauritian and other people to get the OCI certificate and to be here among us for the next PBD session. Thank you.
मुझे लगता है कि परिवार पहली पाठशाला होती है, फैमिली इज द फर्स्ट स्कूल, और वहां से कल्चरल रूट्स हमको जो है पकड़नी पड़ेगी। अभी जो ऐश्वर्या जी के परिवार के बारे में मैं बात कर रहा था, 16 जनरेशन होने के बाद में भी उनके घर में जो है अभी गुजराती बोल रहे हैं, द कल्चरल ट्रेडिशंस एंड लेगेसी इज कैरीड फॉरवर्ड। तो परिवार अगर इस तरह से हम लोग अगर रिस्पॉन्सिबली अपने कल्चरल रूट से जुड़े रहेंगे, ऑटोमेटिकली द कल्चर विल प्रॉस्परस एंड इट विल ट्रांसेंड।
बहुत अच्छा कहा सर आपने। उर्मिला जी, कैन वी हियर फ्रॉम यू?
I think we've said it all. whatever needs to be done. But I would again say, take it from the family. We have to be coherent, give the right message to our children and grandchildren. For example, in schools, when they do projects on science, space, people talk about NASA. In my family, I talk about ISRO. My grandchild talks about ISRO, and he won the prize for being an ambassador of India and also for being an ambassador of science. He's 7 years old, so we have to keep the culture going. There's only one thing I would request, as ICCR is here present. We need a cultural center in Italy because we need to build bridges. We want to tap all those Italians who are there and love India and expand the India galaxy. Thank you.
But Urmila, taking it forward, I would like to suggest you that not only ISRO, we must talk about Aryabhatta and Brahmagupta also in our families.
Thank you. Ranveer ji.
You know, I feel knowledge is taught and values are caught. है ना? तो क्या है, हम लोग इंडिया पढ़ाते बहुत हैं, इंडिया बनना भूल जाते हैं. You know, we teach India and then the kids don't like to be taught. If the fact that if we genuinely believe in India and if we have that pride in India and the kids and the youth sees it, they'll catch it. We have to stop teaching India, you know, and also I think we need to be where they are as they deem fit, not as we deem fit. You know, I think...
Beautifully put. Thank you, Ranveer ji. Vanessa.
I believe we need young people to understand that cultural identity is a journey, it's not a destination. I didn't learn about my Indian culture and values till very late. And in order to do that today, now, we need young people to have digital skills, digital access, and the motivation and trust to create social media content that they can share with their friends, with their communities, and with their country. If we have digital language initiatives and these types of activities, we will really gain momentum around spreading the values of Indian diaspora of our motherland.
Paresh ji. Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you. As I always mention myself, that I am a proudly Ugandan with strong Indian roots. So my advice to the youth that today you have more opportunities to explore globally, but need to be open-minded and adaptable to the cultures of your chosen Karma Bhumi.
Thank you. May I now request the Honourable Minister to say a few words?
सब दर्शकों, सब साथ में बैठे हुए सारे ऑडियंस से इस बात की एक क्षमा मांगते हुए, क्योंकि समय की सीमितता है, महामहिम राष्ट्रपति जी आ गई है. मैं आप लोगों के प्रश्नों के जवाब देने के लिए कार्यक्रम समाप्त होने के बाद में भी यही रहूंगा. कुछ देर हम बैठ के चर्चा करेंगे. लेकिन बिफोर आई वी कंक्लूड, जब मैंने शुरू किया था तब मैंने जो गलती की थी, दैट आई स्टार्टेड स्पीकिंग इन इंग्लिश. मुझे लगता है कि अब हिज एक्सेलेंसी मिनिस्टर को सुनने के बाद में मुझे हिंदी में बोलना चाहिए था. मैं आप सबका धन्यवाद करता हूं, पैनलिस्ट का भी और सामने बैठे हुए सभी लोगों का. और जो आपकी ऊष्मा, जो आपकी ऊर्जा, जो अपने आप को बताने की आप लोगों की जो भाव था, उसको मैं सलाम करता हूं. आई सैल्यूट दैट. आप सब लोगों ने जिस ऊर्जा के साथ में इस पैनल डिस्कशन में हिस्सा लिया और सारे पैनलिस्ट ने अपने अनुभव के आधार पर पिछले इतने वर्षों में दुनिया के अलग अलग क्षेत्रों में, अलग अलग देशों में रह करके भारतीयता की सुगंध को दुनिया के दूसरे देशों में जिस तरह से प्रकीर्तित करने का, उसको फैलाने का काम आप लोगों ने जिस तरह से किया है और आज भी आपके मन में वो भारतीयत्व जिंदा है, उसके लिए मैं सभी पैनलिस्ट का अभिनंदन करना चाहता हूं. मित्रों, मैं समाप्त करूं उससे पहले एक छोटा सा विषय आप सबके सामने रखना चाहता हूं, जो विच आई मेंशन ड्यूरिंग माय ओपनिंग रिमार्क्स अबाउट महाकुंभ. मुझे नहीं पता कि आप में से कितने लोगों को महाकुंभ की स्टोरी पता है. जब समुद्र मंथन हुआ, उसके बाद में जो अमृत निकला, अमृत की जो 4 बूंदें धन्वंतरी के हाथ से उस कलश में से निकल करके 4 स्थान पर गिरी, प्रयागराज में, उज्जैन में, नासिक में और हरिद्वार में. उन 4 स्थानों पर हर 6 वर्ष बाद में कुंभ होता है. 12 साल बाद में पूर्ण कुंभ होता है. पिछला पूर्ण कुंभ जब हुआ था, अभी क्योंकि कुंभ शुरू होने वाला है इसलिए इट्स रेलेवेंट, पिछला पूर्ण कुंभ जब इलाहाबाद में प्रयागराज में हुआ था 12 साल पहले, तब उसमें 20 करोड़ लोग आए थे। और अभी जो कुंभ 2-3 दिन बाद शुरू होने वाला है, उस कुंभ में 45 दिन में 45 डेज में 45 करोड़ लोग जो हैं, इट इज एस्टिमेटेड दैट दे आर गोइंग टू कम। और शायद दुनिया का कोई देश इतना बड़ा एकत्रीकरण, क्योंकि उनके पास में इतनी आबादी नहीं है, भारत की 1/3 आबादी वहां पहुंचेगी, दुनिया भर से लगभग 20 लाख लोग वहां आएंगे। और उन 45 करोड़ लोगों के लिए जो अलग अलग तरह की व्यवस्थाएं की गई है, जस्ट विश टू मेंशन वन थिंग, दैट गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया एंड स्टेट गवर्नमेंट ऑफ उत्तर प्रदेश, we have constructed 150,000 toilets there. And 150,000 toilets, to maintain them, we have appointed 450,000 sanitation workers. और पिछला कुंभ जब हुआ था, to honor the services what they have rendered, जो उन्होंने सेवा वहां पे की है, उसको ऑनर करने के लिए माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने उनको कुर्सी पे बिठा करके जमीन पर बैठ करके उनके पांव धोए थे। 4,50,000 लोगों के लिए वहां एक हाउसिंग सोसाइटी बनाई गई। जब ये प्रधानमंत्री जी को ब्रीफ करने के लिए गए और उनको कहा कि ये सब व्यवस्था हो गई है, तो उन्होंने कहा कि ये जो सफाई कर्मी आते हैं, इनमें से महिलाएं कितनी होती है? was told that 50-60% तक उसमें महिलाएं होती है। Then he questioned that उसमें से उनकी उम्र कितनी होती है? Then he was apprised that it is somewhere around less than 40 years जो भी होते हैं। Then he questioned कि उनके बच्चे 2 महीने तक क्या करें? And government have established a school कि उनकी पढ़ाई खराब नहीं हो, और उस स्कूल में thousands of children are studying for 2 months. So this is how India meticulously plans for the events. कुंभ केवल एक धार्मिक या आध्यात्मिक संगम नहीं, कुंभ जो है भारत के विराट रूप का दर्शन। जब गीता के 700 श्लोक भगवान श्री कृष्ण ने अर्जुन के मन में जो संकोच था, जो ऊहापोह की स्थिति थी, उसको ठीक करने के लिए भगवान ने 700 श्लोक बोले। अर्जुन और कृष्ण का संवाद हुआ, अर्जुन ने अपनी तरफ से श्लोक कहे, अपनी तरफ से बात कही, लेकिन उसके बाद में भी जो संशय था वो मिटा नहीं। तब भगवान ने विराट रूप का दर्शन दिया, और उस विराट रूप के एक निमिष मात्र के दर्शन में, जस्ट फॉर ए सेकेंड, उसको देखते ही अर्जुन के मन का सारा संशय दूर हो गया। हिंदुस्तान की संस्कृति और उसकी सांस्कृतिक शक्ति का अगर किसी को अनुभव करना है, मैं आप सबसे आग्रह करूंगा, कुंभ भारत के विराट रूप का दर्शन है। जरूर कुंभ का दर्शन अगर आप कर सकते हैं तो जरूर आइए। विल फैसिलिटेट, we'll host you there and we'll be happy to host you there. आप सबको बहुत सारी शुभकामनाएं। आपका ये प्रवास निश्चित रूप से आपके जीवन में यादगार बने, और आने वाले समय में यहां से हम टेक अवे के रूप में ये लेकर के जाएं कि हम अपनी आने वाली जनरेशंस को भारत की इस महान परंपराओं के साथ में जोड़े रखेंगे। हम जुड़ेंगे तो हमारी जनरेशन जुड़ेगी। आप सबका बहुत सारा धन्यवाद, बहुत सारा अभिनंदन। नंदिनी जी का बहुत सारा अभिनंदन, उन्होंने इतने बेहतर तरीके से इसे मॉडरेट किया। आप सब लोग बहुत सारे प्रश्न करना चाहते थे, लेकिन समय की सीमितता है, उसकी मजबूरी को आप सब समझते हुए मैं आप सब से क्षमा प्रार्थना करता हूं। मैं कुछ देर आप लोगों के बीच में हूं, यदि कुछ बात आपका सजेशन है या हमारे आईसीसीआर टीम के लोग यहां रहेंगे, यू जस्ट पोस्ट ए सजेशन, योर रिकमेंडेशन, योर क्वेश्चन इन राइटिंग with your email or contact detail. We'll get back to you. Thank you very much. आप सबका अभिनंदन। भारत माता की
बहुत धन्यवाद। थैंक यू।
When Alexander invaded India, Chanakya went to all the states. States were divided in India within Indian culture, and they were not ready to fight together. So Chanakya told them only one thing, that when you lose your state, you don't lose your state only, you lose your culture, you lose your education system, you lose your medication system. Now, this state is called Odisha. How many of us who are coming from abroad call it Odisha? We call it Odisha. Then our gentleman panelist here, Arnab Roy Churamani. How many of us should call him Roy Churamani? I know foreigners cannot call this name because the Ra is not there. But we Indians started calling it Churomani.
Thank
The
you.
other
Thank
question,
you very
last
much.
question.
We will
Ganges,
continue the
Ganges,
conversation.
Karma.
Thank you.
We are slaves, still slave to all these words. We should change.
Jai Shri Jagannath, my question is very valid one. We are in the artificial intelligence age. All of us, we are talking of culture, originality with the original language. Why India in the forefront of IT? Why we cannot provide hearing aids which can translate for everybody? So somebody is talking in Odia, he can listen in Odia, he can translate to English, others can hear. So everywhere it is getting done.
I request dignitaries to please come forward and pose for a group photograph.
Yeah. Please.
We are thankful to our Honorable Minister, sir.
This is the question, please. Yeah.
Honorable Minister, sir, thank you so much for chairing the session. And we are indebted to our befitting moderator, Srimati K. Nandini Singla, DG ICCR, and thank you to all our esteemed panelists for this enlightening session. Thank you for your valuable addition. Your stories inspire us to continue bridging cultures and strengthening connections worldwide. Thank you for reminding us of the power of belonging and the impact of shared heritage. Ladies and gentlemen, let's carry forward these conversations and strive to uphold the values that unite us as one global family. Jai Hind!